A victim of child abuse will never live the same way after the traumatic experience. This is why someone who has abused a child should never be allowed to carry on with their lives like normal. Hello and welcome to another interesting and educative edition of your #1 child protection program on radio called Child Abuse Alert. The program that exposes the activities of pedophiles and sexual predators, and the program that teaches everyone, parents, elders, adults, teachers, everyone how to protect their children from every form of child abuse. My name is Cyril Isi. Alright, this is how we do it every Thursday from 2 to 3 p.m. live from our studio here at PEP Radio, Ibadan. You can join us live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/PEP Radio Ibadan. Also, you can connect with us on our Instagram and social media handles using PEP Radio Ibadan. You can also listen to us live on our website at www.pepfmradio.com, and also you can listen to us on Misla at www.misla.com/pepfmradio-Ibadan. Alright, this is a live program, so you are free to join us by calling our numbers. The numbers will be displayed on your screen. If you are watching us live on Facebook, you see the studio number there, so you can call us to join the conversation, to make contribution, or to make suggestion, or also to report any case of child sexual abuse as it may be. The number to call once again is 070-5153-5081. 070-5153-5081. Alright, before we start the show today, I want to appreciate God for His mercy and His grace. He has been faithful as ever. I want to thank Him for the great opportunity to be live here once again and to be in front of you, to be able to share what I have to share with you today. Of course, He is the reason why I live, the reason why I move, and the reason why I have my being. And also want to thank the chairman of PEP Radio, Ibadan, Dr. Idesoji Isaac Taiwo. Thank you for using your platform to promote the rights of children. Thank you for ensuring that every child is being protected from every form of abuse and molestation. God will continue to uphold you and bless the work of your hand. And also to you that has been listening to me, or you that is currently listening to me, I want to thank you for taking out your time from your busy schedule to listen to this program. Thank you for those of you that has been calling in, those of you that has been dropping comments on my own social media platform. You have been making necessary suggestions, things that we need to do to make this program more beneficial to all those that are listening to it. I want to say thank you very much. You are 1 in a million. Continue to make the contribution, continue to keep the calls coming, continue to make the suggestion. Together we will join our hands to make sure that every child in this state is protected from every form of child abuse and molestation. Alright, today on the program we have a very, very interesting topic that we will be discussing today. Very, very interesting topic, I must say. You see, it is the issue we have for discussion today is something people really talk about. It's an obvious case of child abuse, but really nobody talks about it. Not that nobody talks about it, but hardly do you hear it, and even hardly does it hit headline when it happens. People don't really look at it, people don't see it as an issue, and when it happens, people just like it's not really a big deal, but I want to assure you it is a big deal. That is why I've taken out my time today to make sure that I address this issue on the program. And the program and the issue we'll be discussing today is protecting the boy child from sexual abuse and molestation. Protecting the boy child from sexual abuse and molestation. I know you will like, hey, why the boy child? It has always been the girl child. It has always been the female gender. We always talk about them when it has to do with child abuse. We always like, hey, let us address it. It's always the boys abusing the girls, or it's always men abusing little girls or women. But let me tell you, the rate at which boys are being abused is alarming. It's unfortunate that they don't talk about it. Boys don't come out to say they are being abused. Rather, they rather prefer to keep silent and bottle it up and begin to suffer the effects, and they grow up like that and turn to something else. But today I want us to bring a limelight, bring the limelight on it, so that everyone will be informed about this issue of sexual abuse against the boy child. Does it really happen? Yes, of course it happens. It happens over and over and over and over again. Also, we're going to address it today. But also, as we will be addressing the issue of protecting the boy child from sexual abuse and exploitation, we will also take some stories, as usual, on some stories on child abuse that made the headlines in recent times. All right, before we do all this, let us go for a short break. When we return, the show will kick off. Don't go anywhere. All right, my people, you are welcome back. If you're just joining us, you are listening to Child Abuse Alert with Cyril Isi, live on PEP Radio, Felele, Ibadan. All right, let's quickly take a look at some of the stories on child sexual abuse that made the headlines in recent times. I'm going to start with this one. No, this is quite an unfortunate story. Quite an unfortunate story. It's a story of a young man who raped a 2-year-old girl to death. A story of a young man who raped a 2-year-old girl to death. Quite annoying at the same time. We don't have anything to say. Okay, report has it that Kaduna State High Court on Wednesday sentenced a man to death by hanging for raping a 2-year-old girl to death. Quite unfortunate. The suspect, identified as Usman Shewun Bachem, took the victim Fatima to his room and raped her in 2015. Ruling on Wednesday, Justice Kabeb Dabo said the judgment of death by hanging was passed according to Section 221 of the Penal Code, Kaduna State Law 1999 as amended. Bashe had, while confessing to the crime, said the incident lasted for 40 minutes. The judge said. Quite annoying. Quite annoying. A full-grown man raped a 2-year-old girl to death. In short, it is that aspect that actually got me angry when I came across the story. You know, sometimes it baffles me when I hear stories of adults, full grown up men abusing little child as young as 1, as young as 2. And I keep asking the question, what do they find attractive in this in the body of these little kids? What do they find attractive? What do they find, as in, what appeal to them in the body of a little child that has not developed properly? But, you know, everybody has their own intention, and we can keep trying to justify or say maybe it's because of this, maybe it's because of that, but still their intention, only God knows. That's what the Bible says. The heart of a man is desperately wicked. Nobody can know it. We don't know the reason. But thank God this guy was given death sentence by hanging. So if you kill a child by abusing the child, you also have to die by hanging. That you have to die by hanging. Now that's the consequence of, his action. If you don't want to spend your life in jail, or you don't also want to die by hanging, please do not abuse a child sexually. It is a criminal offense that is punishable by the law. Do not abuse a child. Leave them alone. If you are sexually charged, or if you want to satisfy your sexual urge, look for somebody of your age mate. Go get married, or better still, visit a brother. Don't do it to a child. If you do it to a child, you have committed an offense and you will face the full wrath of the law. So this one, given life, not even life imprisonment, death by hanging. That is the sentence. He has to die by hanging. Okay. In other news, we have 42-year-old pharmacist raped a 2-year-old boy in Abuja. 42-year-old pharmacist raped a 2-year-old boy in Abuja. a 42-year-old resident of Spring Valley Estate in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, pharmacist Abubakar Mustafa Daraka, has been arrested by operatives of the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, for alleged sodomy. Dankara, who has a PhD, was arrested after he had an anal sexual intercourse with a 12-year-old boy. The offense is contrary to Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015 of NAPTIP. Mr. Abubakar Daraka, who works at the National Hospital Abuja as chief pharmacist, is currently the special assistant technical to the Director General of the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development, Abuja. Apart from being a pharmacist, Mr. Abubakar, who hails from Zaria, Kaduna State, is also an imam in the mosque within his estate. Narrating his ordeal, the 12-year-old victim told operatives of NAPTIP that the crime took place on Saturday, 21st March 2020, at the residence of the suspect. According to him, after their religious education program, Islamia, that afternoon, he decided to check on his friend, who happens to be a neighbor to the suspect. On getting there, after several knocks on the door, there was no response. But as he made to leave, the suspect opened his door and beckoned on him. He subsequently grabbed his hand and took him into his sitting room. The suspect went further to offer him a glass of water to drink. Not suspecting any foul play, the boy drank the water and began to feel weak. In that state of weakness, the suspect overpowered him, laid him on the red seat in his sitting room, and forced his private part into his anus. That is quite unfortunate. 42-year-old pharmacist raped a 12-year-old boy in Abuja. Now, this is a clear case of child sexual abuse. But it's unfortunate that it's really unfortunate that it's a sodomy. Let me use that word now. It's an homosexual act between a man and a young innocent boy, or rather what we call a taboo, is a sodomy. This is quite wrong, and it's a punishable offense under the Child Rights Act of 2003. According to the Child Rights Act, Part 3, Section 31 says anybody that has sexual intercourse with a child that is a minor below the age of 18, that person, upon conviction, is liable to life imprisonment. And this is a clear case of an assault or an abuse of a child, whereby the suspect had sexual intercourse, but this time around is an anal intercourse with the young boy, who happens to be 12 years old. So if this case is prosecuted and rightly prosecuted, this man in question will be jailed for life. He will have to spend the remaining part of his life in jail for committing this crime. Please, let's not abuse a child. Whether you are doing it, whether it is coming from the other way, that is a woman abusing boy child or a man abusing boy child, let not abuse a child. You know, I said today we will be looking at the issue of protecting the boy child of sexual abuse. I purposely have to bring up that story because when I saw this story, I know it's something we have to discuss because it has to do with sexual molestation of the boy child. Now, it's not only men that abuse boys; women also abuse boys. We saw that last week. Last 2 weeks in the program when we were discussing how a maid of 24 sexually abused his employer's son, who happens to be a 4-year-old boy that she was employed to take care of. So the abuse can come from either the male folks or the female folks. But what we are trying to say is this: don't abuse a child. Don't abuse a child. If you do, you will have to face the full wrath of the law if you are caught and prosecuted. All right, the suspect here happens to be a 42-year-old pharmacist. We were told he's a PhD holder. That is one. A pharmacist with a well-paying job. That he has a good job. He works at the National Hospital Abuja as the shift pharmacist. And also, apart from being the chief pharmacist at the National Hospital Abuja, he's also the special assistant to the Director General of the National Institute of Pharmaceutical Research and Development. And also, he happens to be the imam in the mosque within the estate where he lives. So if you look at the caliber of the person in question, or the reputation or the status of this person, you begin to imagine, why will somebody that is so well educated, well-to-do, well placed in the society, and is also a spiritual leader, will be involved in this kind of sexual acts. There are so many questions you want to ask. What will make him to even stoop so low, or rather do such kind of such kind of an abominable act? But like rightly say, anybody can abuse a child. Whether it's a pastor, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a teacher, anybody can abuse a child sexually. That is why parents, you have to be careful who you leave your child with, and you also have to ensure that you teach your child how to protect his or herself. It is very, very important that we educate the child. No, you cannot say this person it doesn't have the tendency or the likelihood of abusing a child. Anybody can be a pedophile. Anybody can be a sexual predator. We don't really know the reason why this man have to go to this extent, or why he has to carry out this kind of terrible act. But you can't tell. It might just be that he wants to use the boy for ritual because this is an homosexual act, or he wants to use the boy. Yeah, it might just be that he wants to use the boy for ritual. Because if you look at the strategy he employed, there's every likelihood that it might be for a ritual purpose. Now, we're still going to look at the strategy, really, that this man employed in ensuring that he gets the child, he abused the child. We're going to look at the strategy. But we can say this man is likely to be a ritual intention. He might want to use the boy for ritual purpose or spiritual purpose, or the man might just be a sexual predator, or he might be a pedophile. A pedophile, that is somebody that has a psychiatric disorder that makes them to be sexually attracted to young children. Now, we wonder, why will he be sexually attracted to a young boy? Why not a young girl? Okay, he's even not expected. It's not expected to be attracted in any way to a young boy. But when those people that have this kind of disease, the pedophilia disease, or this kind of disorder, they will be sexually attracted to somebody, to a minor. Their sexual attraction will be to a minor. Now I want to say this: if you are having sexual attraction to a child instead of having sexual attraction to an adult like yourself, you need help. You need to look for help. You need to go for help. This is not a case of where you don't want to say to anybody. You better go to the hospital and meet psychiatrists. Let them analyze your issue and prescribe the necessary treatment. You might just need treatment, because if you try to carry out your fantasy or whatever it is called, you might just be landing yourself in big trouble, just like this man. Okay, looking at the strategy that the man employed, the boy actually didn't go to his house. The boy, I don't think the boy has anything to do with with him. It just happened that the boy went to visit his friend, and the friend happens to be the neighbor of this man. After several knocks on the friend's door, it's like the friend and the friend's family, they are not at home, and the friend is not at home. So the man decided to come out from his own flat and forced the boy into his own flat, offered the boy a drink of water that has been drugged. And as soon as the boy took the water, that was the mistake. As soon as the boy took the water, it became weak. Before you know, the man took advantage of him, pulled off his clothes, and raped him through his anus. So people, this kind of strategy, it has been an age-long strategy. People always use it when they want to rape their victim. And so we always tell parents, please encourage or advise your kids never to take drinks from stranger. They should not take drink from stranger. And if they happen to be in an isolated place or a private place with the opposite sex, they should not leave their drinks open. Or maybe when they want to go and use the gents or use the ladies, they should not leave their drinks unattended to, because somebody can put drugs in it, and when they take it, they become weak, and that would be an opportunity for the person to abuse them sexually or rape them, as the case may be. So you tell your children not to take drink. They should not accept drink. Even if they have to accept drink for somebody, they should not take it at that point. They should bring it home to you, whether drink or food, so that they don't fall victim. Because when you are weak or when you are unconscious, you will not be able to defend yourself. This is not a case of you being having enough strategy or being well informed about how you can prevent sexual abuse. if you are drugged, or if you are when you are drugged and you become weak, you will not be able to protect yourself. So it is very, very important that you tell your kids, or if you are a young person listening to me, don't always consume drink. When you go to meet people, when you go to visit friends, and when you go to visit neighbors, or anywhere you go to, and they offer you drinks, or yes, when they offer you drink, please make sure you don't consume it there. Or if you have to consume, finish it. Make sure you are the one. If it is any of this canned drink or this bottled drink, make sure you are the one that opened it yourself, and you consume it. Don't leave it open. Don't ask somebody to take care of it for you. Don't leave it unattended to, because there's every likelihood that if somebody have evil intention, the person might drug it and have an easy way to abuse you. All right, this happens to be the strategy this man employed, and he succeeded in abusing this 12-year-old boy. Now, looking at the victim, a 12-year-old innocent boy that he never suspected that this kind of thing will happen. In the first instance, he did not go to visit the man. He has no business with the man. This man just lured him into his apartment and defied him using the strategy we just mentioned. Now, the deed has been done. What happened to this child? Okay, they've reported the case to NAPTIP. NAPTIP have arrested the man, but what about the boy in question? Something has to be done to that child to make sure that the boy heal properly. A scar has been left on in the life of that child, and if that child is not properly treated, if that child is not properly counseled, if that child do not go through proper therapy, the child might end up becoming something else in future. This is not a case of saying, okay, he's boy, he's a man, so he can just he can overcome it, or he can just wave it up. Nothing will definitely nothing physical might affect him, but there are a lot of things that might affect him psychologically. I want to say there are a lot of things that might affect him psychologically if the boy is not given the necessary attention, the necessary love that he deserves. And for the parents, this is not the time to start asking who asked you to go there. Sometimes when things happen to kids, we start blaming them. Have I not told you not to go and play slow time? And have I not told you to go and visit this person? No, this is not the time of blaming anybody or looking for what he did wrong. This is the time to show him love, make sure that he experiences support from the family front, so that he will be able to overcome the trauma that will result from this kind of abuse. And take note, this is quite abnormal. It is very, very abnormal. The anus of a child is not where an erected penis is supposed to go into. It is not where an adult is supposed to put his own erected penis. The anus is not meant for that. Now, for a full-grown 42-year-old man to do it to a 12-year-old boy, definitely know that is going to cause a whole lot of trauma to that boy. It can lead to psychological disorder for the child. It can lead to depression. It can lead to anxiety, and it can even, from the depression, it can lead to suicidal attempts. It can also cause sexual behavior disorder for the child, and it can also lead to educational problems where the boy will not be able to focus on his study again because of the trauma that he's going through. And it can lead to physical health problem. If the man happens to have infections, the man will definitely transfer it to the boy in the course of raping the boy. So there are so many things that has to be done to that child to make sure that the boy heal properly and do not have to go through that trauma. It is very, very important that the case of the child is looked into. Then we have another case of child abuse too. A 15-year-old boy sodomized a 6-year-old boy in Kaduna. A 6-year-old boy is currently receiving medical attention at the Sexual Assault Center of Gabo Sawaba Hospital, Zaria, the Kaduna State capital, after he was sodomized repeatedly by a 15-year-old boy. The boy was taken to the center by his father, who said his son's teachers alerted him about the development. According to the father, the teachers of the boy said the boy always returned to class late from break. And when they asked him where he had been, he told them that he went to meet the abuser. When they continued to question him, he told them that the abuser had asked him to remove his trouser and then had sex with him. Confirming the incident, To newsmen, the manager of the Sexual Assault Center, Amina Umar Farouk, said medical examination revealed the 6-year-old boy anus has been penetrated. The boy is currently undergoing medical treatment and rehabilitation. The perpetrator was also brought to us by the police, and he confessed to have been sexually abused too by someone who he could not name. He is currently receiving treatment. Umar Farouk added that the matter was under investigation by the police. In other news also, police arrest a 24-year-old maid for sexually molesting a 4-year-old boy in Rivers State. We brought a story some weeks back, and I just want to repeat it again so that we know that it's not only men that abuse boys, women also abuse boys. Rivers State Police Command has arrested a 24-year-old maid for sexually molesting the 4-year-old son of her employer. It was gathered that the maid was brought in when they came back from Canada 3 months ago and has been taking care of the little boy since then. It was when the boy was taken to the hospital because he was having pains around his private part that he opened up to the doctor. The boy told the doctor that his maid usually told him to put his private part into her own private part. Sometimes she made him use his mouth to lick her private part. The boy said she always played with his private organ anytime she beats him or whenever she's alone with him, and threatened him that if he tells anyone about it, witches will appear to him and they will kill him. The police was brought in to later arrest her. So this is clear case of an adult abusing a boy child. The first one I read was 15-year-old boy who sodomized a 6-year-old boy in Kaduna. If you really listen to that story, you just discover that the boy, when he was interrogated, the 15-year-old boy, when he was interrogated, he said somebody abused him. I just want to bring that out. Somebody abused him, and because of that, he decided also to abuse another younger person. A man abused him. He is age 15. A man abused him sexually, and he decided to abuse another boy. So he abused a 6-year-old boy, and he did it repeatedly. During the break time, I don't know how he managed to lure the boy, but every time during break, if the boy would go and meet him, probably he's giving the boy some money or whatever, I don't know, but the boy will leave his class. 6-year-old boy will leave school and go and meet him. After the abuse, he will come back late. Until the teachers, they took note of it, and upon interrogation, the boy confessed that this guy of 15 years old have been abusing him repeatedly, having anal sex with him. This is quite unfortunate, because this is a case of a child raping a child, because the boy is still a minor, is under 18, and also is abusing another child. So when the prosecution is carried out, probably he will have to be taken to the child correction center, where he will be given his necessary punishment when properly prosecuted. Okay, right about now, we will quickly go for a commercial break. When we return, we will look at our story for our major topic for today, which happens to be protecting the boy child from every form of abuse. Don't go anywhere.
April was 10 years old. She was young and bold. You know how the story goes. Mama had a lover, happens to want another. April was boarded. Mommy won't believe her. Trying to tell her mama, hey, keeps coming to my room when it's knowing when you're wearing home. I'm on Malone, the staring his eyes, the way he licks his mouth with the shut the trash. I call his head a crap, but they tell the last when it happened very fast. Why you know that home when I needed you most? My bro was on the floor, my auntie's on my knees. I even begged him please, he wouldn't get my plea. He first except for me. I hope now you believe me more. See what you made me, mom. Hey, a pride and a life taken firstly. Somebody pray for her. I think she's losing it. Stop that child abuse. Stop that violation. Stop that corruption. Stop that abortion. Stop that child abuse. Stop that child abuse. Stop that violation. Stop that corruption. Stop that abortion. Stop that child abuse.
All right, let's stop the child abuse. Let's stop every form of child abuse, whether it is physical abuse, whether it is emotional abuse, whether it is sexual abuse, or whether it comes in the form of neglect. Let's stop every form of child abuse. All right, I want to welcome you back. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Child Abuse Alert with Cyril Isi on PEP FM. Felele Ibadan. All right, if you are listening to me, or if you are a child, a young person listening to me, or if you are a parent listening to me, I want you to know that you have a responsibility to report any form of child abuse. If you are abusing any child, first of all, if you are abusing any child, I want to beg your indulgence. Please stop every form of child abuse, whether it is sexual abuse, whether it is physical abuse, whether it is emotional abuse. Let's not abuse children. It is wrong. It is abuse of their rights. Every child has their own rights. They should be treated with dignity. Let's not abuse them. Let's not abuse them. And I want to repeat, let's not abuse them. All right, now if you know any child that is going through any form of abuse, it is your responsibility to make sure that you report. This is your responsibility to make sure you report every form of child abuse as much as possible, because a child will not know who to report to. The abuse might be coming from the parents, and he may not know who to report to. So you might just be doing the young child, the young boy or the young girl a whole lot of good by reporting to the appropriate authority so that they can come to the aid of the child. If you know any child that is being sexually molested, don't keep quiet. And if you are a young person and you are being sexually molested or you are being abused emotionally or physically, don't keep quiet. Look for a way to get the authorities involved. I am going to be calling out some numbers that you can take note of. Then you can call the numbers and you will definitely get help. If you are resident in Ibadan, if you are resident in Ibadan, Oyo State, or if you are resident in Oyo State has a toll-free emergency number which you can call to get help in case of any form of emergency. And obviously, child abuse is also an emergency. So you can call the Oyo State toll-free line 615. It's just 3 digits, 615. When you dial the number, is toll-free, meaning that they will not charge you. So you have a call, just call them and somebody will come to your aid. You can report any form of abuse. You can take your time to actually explain the kind of abuse you are going through so that you can get help. Also, you can reach out to Oyo State Police Command. Their numbers are 080-8176-8614 or 081-50-777-888. I want to take that last number again. 081-50-777-888. Those are the numbers for Oyo State Police Command. You can dial them and you get through to them and they will come to your rescue or come to the rescue of the child in question. Also, you can reach NAPTIP. NAPTIP is the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons. They are the organization that are saddled with the responsibility of handling issues that has to do with child abuse, child sexual abuse, or any form of child abuse against the child. So they can always come to the aid of the child. Their number is 070-300-00203, or you can log on to their website at www.naptip.gov.ng and from there you can get across to them. Also, you can get in touch with any NGO that is into child rights advocacy. There are so many NGOs out there that fight for the rights of the child. You can reach out to any one of them. You can also reach out to the Center for Children Child Development Ibadan. Their number is 081-8049-5451. If you reach out to them, they will definitely come to the aid of the child, because it's not only their responsibility, it's the responsibility of the government, it's the responsibility of us parents, it's the responsibility of every adult to make sure that every child is protected from every form of abuse, whether it is physical abuse, whether it is emotional abuse, whether it is sexual abuse, or whether it comes in the form of neglect. So let's not keep quiet. Let's join our hands to ensure that every child is protected from every form of abuse. All right, now let's quickly look at what we have for today. That is our issue for discussion today. I've already said that if If you want to join the conversation, you can do that using any of our social media platform, on Instagram, on Twitter, and of course on Facebook. It's PEP FM Radio, at PEP FM Radio Ibadan. Or you can call the studio line. The line is on the screen. If you're watching live on Facebook, the line is on the screen. The number is 0705-153-5081. You can call in to join the conversation, to drop your contribution, or to make any kind of observation that you want to make. All right, saving the boy child from sexual abuse. The first question one want to answer is, do they really abuse boys? We've seen from the stories, the stories I read earlier, they do abuse boys. Boys are not excluded from sexual abuse. Boys are not excluded from sexual abuse. People do abuse boys. Men do abuse boys. Women do abuse boys. And even young boys do abuse younger boys. So, knowing the fact that boys are being abused, and they are being abused on a regular basis, it is enough for us to make sure that we properly educate the child, or inform the boy child on how to protect his or himself, in this time around, how to protect himself from every form of abuse. There are so many strategies that has been put in place both by government agencies, NGOs, different kind of organization has come up with different strategies that can be used to prevent the girl child from sexual abuse. Last week we were looking at how Osun State came up with the issue of training girls in Osun State and women on martial arts so that they can physically defend themselves in case of rape or gender-based violence. And we say that was a welcome development. Now people are registering for that program. You are a girl, you go and register so that you can be taught how to physically, combat crime, fight for yourself and prevent yourself. We say it's good, but let's not leave the boy child out of the equation. The equation will not be balanced if the boy child is not involved. While we are training the girl child how to protect themselves, we also have to train the boy child how to protect himself from sexual abuse, because boys are being raped on a regular basis. They are being raped by women, and also they are also being raped by men. So we need to protect them. It's so unfortunate that they don't speak out, they don't talk. Some will go home and never report to their parents. Some will go home and never talk. They will suffer in silence. I did an article earlier this year, and I did an article on protecting the boy child from abuse, and I put the article on Naira Land, and you can imagine, as soon as he hits the front page of Naira Land, you see over 40,000 people read that thing, and people were commenting. Men were coming out to say they were abused as a child, and it was quite a sorry state. When you see comments that have been made by men, and they are suffering from the effect of the abuse they had while they were kids, when they were young boys, you will be amazed. So it's something everyone have to look into. Let us not think that boys don't get abused. After all, they are the ones that rape girls, or they are the ones that abuse girls. No, they are also being abused, and it's so unfortunate that when they get abused, and if they cannot, if they want to kind of fight back, they may not be able to revenge the person that abused them. They will decide to take their revenge on another child. It could be a boy or a girl. Look at the story I just read about the 15-year-old boy that sexually molested the 6-year-old boy. He said an adult raped him, and because of that, he decided to rape another boy too, a 6-year-old boy. So the thing is coming. This thing, if we don't really address it, it will continue, and a lot of lives will be damaged as a result of it. It's not something that we have to keep quiet about. Let's train the boys. Let's train boys on proper sexual education so that they prevent themselves from abuse, and at the same time, they know that it is wrong to abuse the girl child or wrong to abuse another boy child. How do people abuse, or what forms do child sexual abuse of the boy child come? It comes in different form. There are many ways, boys are being abused. It is not only through most of the stories we read is that the men abuse the boys, they rape the boys through their anus. But the story of the maid raped the boy through his forced the boy to have sex with her. Now it can come from both ways, but there are other forms of abuse, of sexual abuse of the boy child, and I would like to look at them so that we know the boy child will be well informed, and you also as a parent, or you that is an adult listening to me, you will know how boys are being abused, and you'll be able to pass the right information to them. All right, an abuse of the boy child can come in the form of oral sex. This is usually common, very, very common, where the boys, young boys, will be made to perform oral sex on either an adult woman or an adult man. How do they do it? They will ask the boys to begin to suck their private parts. It has happened. It's common in. I'm still going to get to that point. It's common in boarding schools. We're still coming to that. But the way this adult normally do, they will ask this boy to begin to suck their private parts, either their breast or their private parts. And before you know it, these boys will get harassed in the process, and they will not direct the boy to have proper sex with them. This is absolutely wrong. If you are engaging any little boy in oral sex and you think it's not sexual abuse, it's sexual abuse. You are actually abusing that boy. You just have to stop it. Now, it can also be in the form of vaginal sex, where the female will have to get the boy harassed and ask and make the boy to have sex with her. And it can also be anal sex, like the ones we've mentioned now, where the man will have to penetrate the boy through the anus. And it can also come in the form of fondling, where you have to play with the private part of the boy, touch the penis of the boy or the buttocks of the boy. And it can also come in the form of exposing the boy child to pornography, to masturbation, to voyeurism, or to exhibitionism. Any of this form is an abuse. It is not only when you have anal sex with the boy that you have abused the boy sexually. If it comes in form of oral sex, if it comes in the form of exposing the child to pornography or masturbation, if it comes in the form of making the boy to have vaginal sex with you, you have abused that child, and it is a punishable offense. According to the Child Right Act, if you have any kind of sexual intercourse with a child, you have committed an offense and you are liable upon conviction to life imprisonment. Now, if it is sexual abuse which does not involve sexual intercourse, whether anal intercourse or vaginal intercourse, if it's form of sexual abuse like fondling or exposing the child to pornography or masturbation or voyeurism or exhibitionism, that is called sexual assault. Upon conviction, if you are caught and upon conviction, you are liable to 14 years imprisonment. So let's stop every form of sexual exploitation of the boy child. And also, there was one I came in contact recently where boys are being made to go into prostitution, male prostitution, young boys, teenagers. And I saw a video of these young boys being made to have a pornographic film. It was quite I know it's quite alarming. It was just too bad. Boys of like 14 years, 15 years being made to have a pornographic film. They are being used as male prostitutes right here in our country. Some evil men and evil women are involved in this. I want to beg you to please stop it. You are destroying the life of another person, and it is absolutely wrong. Now, who are those involved in abusing the boy child? Everyone. Anybody that can abuse a girl child can abuse a boy child. Yes, everyone is involved. When I mean everyone now, don't exclude anybody. The person could be highly educated, like in the case of the PhD holder pharmacist that abused the 12-year-old boy. The person could be highly educated. It could be a spiritual person like a priest. That unfortunately, that case is also then the case of that PhD holder pharmacist happens to be an imam too in the mosques in the estate. It could be a priest, it could be a pastor, it could be a doctor, it could be anybody can abuse a child. There are people that are just out there to abuse young ones. They are sexual predators. That is why you have to protect your child. Parents, it is your primary responsibility to make sure that your child is protected from every form of abuse. So the person I've said could be from any strata of the society. The person could be a pedophile, it could be an homosexual, it could be heterosexual, the person could also be a ritualist. There are people that go into abusing the boy child purposely for rituals. They will do that for ritual. So you have to be careful too. So you can't really tell. Unfortunately, they don't write it on the forehead of people. People that abuse children, they don't write it on their forehead. So you can't really tell who is going to abuse the child. It could be anybody. So you just have to be very, very careful. At the time it's running fast, I want to quickly look at places where male sexual abuse are very, very common. Parents, I want you to take note of this. There are places that are breeding ground for sexual abuse of the boy child. There are places that are breeding ground. We don't really think about it. We don't even notice it. But these places, when boys are allowed to be there in those places, so many many of them are turned into toys that are used for sexual gratification. So we have to beam a searchlight on it. The first one I have on my list is the boarding schools, male boarding school, most especially the ones operated by government, federal government or state government. When you go to these places, boys are being abused. Most especially the senior boys will abuse the younger boys. It's like a norm. It's like a norm in the school. I know in the course of doing my research earlier this year, I have to visit some of these government-owned boarding schools where you have all boys boarding school, and you hear stories of boys being abused. One was telling me that it was right from JSS1 they have been abusing him sexually. And as at the time I was talking to him, which happens to be early this year, he's now in XS1. They have been abusing him. And I asked him, did you tell anybody? He said no. So these things happen. The abuse continues. They abuse them. They see it as a norm. Most times the abuse comes from the teachers too. So we have to be careful. If your child is going to boarding school, make sure you equip the child with the right information that he or she needs. This time around, he needs the information that he needs to be able to survive these sexual predators that happens to domicile in boarding schools. The private boarding schools, they seem to be there are measures that are put in place to check these things. But in government boarding school or federal government boarding schools, no one seems to care. And these young lives are being destroyed. All right, another places where boys are also being abused on a regular basis, or rather often abused. We have camp meetings. When boys go for camp meetings, like the summer camp meetings where they have to stay for like 1 week, they have to stay for like 2 weeks, and you see a lot goes on in these camp meetings. The religious one might be different, but some of these religious camp meetings also, these things also happen. But because nobody will really talk. The victim will not talk. The offender will also not talk. So the thing will just happen and it will just go like that. When your boy is going for camp meeting, please make sure you give him the necessary education that he needs. And I want to say this before I progress. What do you need? And I've been saying consistently that you have to teach your boy child how to protect himself from abuse. What do you teach your boy child? Now, teach him the basic. There are basic rules that you have to give to the boy child. There are basic things you have to let the boy child to know. And one of them is this: nobody should talk to the boy child, or nobody should talk to the boy child about his private part. Nobody should look at his private part, and nobody should touch his private part. These three things, they are very, very important. Tell your boy child at every point in time, nobody should touch his private part, nobody should look at his private part, and nobody should talk to him about his private part. And at the same time, you tell that same boy child that he should not look at the private part of another boy or girl, and he should not touch the private part of another boy or girl, and he should not talk about that other person's private part. By so doing, you are making him to be alert to these things. Nobody should touch, nobody should look, nobody should talk to him about his private part. And you tell him also, if anybody try to touch his private part, he should say no and run away. It is very, very important. He should say no and run away. Not saying no and remain in that environment. Rather, he should say no and run away. And if he succeeded in leaving that environment, he should report. You encourage your boy child to report. Anytime somebody try to molest him sexually, he should report to you as the parent, whether the father or the mother. And I think it's also the responsibility of the father now, because most times the responsibility is on the mother to educate the boy child. The father, at this time, we are talking about boys now. Fathers, you have to be involved. Educate your boy child on how to protect himself from abuse. It is very, very important, because these things are going on, and unfortunately the victims are not speaking up. So inform them right from the age of 4. You start telling them, when a child gets to the age of 2, we say you start educating the child, telling the child about his or her private part. You name it for them so that they get aware of, they become aware of it. Then when they get to the age of 4 and 5, you start teaching them proper sexual education, good touch and bad touch. Let them know what it means to be sexually abused, and once they are fully aware of it, I bet you they will not allow anybody to abuse them. That is how much we can take for the program today. we've been looking at the issue of protecting the boy child from every form of abuse. And I want to say this again, please, if you know any child that is going through any kind of abuse, whether physical abuse, whether emotional abuse, whether sexual abuse, take it as your responsibility to speak up for the child. Don't wait until the child is destroyed. Make sure you speak up for that child, because every child is your child. Also, I want to specially thank everyone involved in this. I want to thank the studio manager. I also want to thank the camera operator, social media manager, everyone involved in making this program a success today. I want to say thank you very much. We'll do this again next week, the same time, Thursday, 2 to 3 p.m. We'll look at another interesting topic, and I would like to encourage you before then, still join the conversation, like our videos, share them on Facebook, and make sure that you inform other people about it. My name once again is Cyril Isi. Thank you very much.
Ago-Iwoye was 10 years old. She was young and bold. You know how the story goes. Mama had a lover, happens to want another. Ago-Iwoye was boarded.